but not so lucky in the forward line. I'm hoping some luck will come soon. Dacos, exclamation mark, rub a bit of your magic on me or something, or the potato bake, because I clearly need it. Hello everybody and welcome back to the Footy GameDay Squad show. I'll be your host today, Tom. Callum sends his apologies. He's unable to make today's episode, but Kerm, my guy, is here. Kerm, mate, how are you going today?
Good, it's the duo, we're back. I'm keen to start talking some round 21 footy. Let's get straight into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys don't know why we're here today, we are here because of GameDay Squad, Australia's first and only fantasy sports platform utilising blockchain technology. If you're unsure about what we do, go down to the link below, click the link in the description. It's very easy. Get on our website, figure out what we're doing, but it's all about fantasy sports. And Kerm, speaking of fantasy sports, we need to be good managers and know who's in and out for the AFL this week. So why don't we start off this show, as we do always, with your weekly news. Take it away. Let's
do it, brother. And Tom, there is so much news coming into round 21, so let's get straight into it. Ruckman. We know that the Ruckman landscape has been atrocious so far this year, so any Ruckman news is big news. And star Collingwood Magpies Ruckman Brodie Grundy won't be available for selection this week, unfortunately. I know many were expecting him to be back this week. He should be available for selection next week, but they're going to be very cautious with him, although they have indicated that they want to get some run into his legs at AFL level by the end of the season. So Brodie Grundy's impending return is soon to be here. Don't worry about that. Star halfback flanker Aaron Hall should slot straight back in this weekend. He was out last weekend with health and safety protocols, but he's expected to slot straight back in for North Melbourne. Trio out of Brisbane Lions, Jared Berry, Zach Bailey and Daniel Rich should have to prove their fitness later on in the week, but they're all trending in the right direction. So that's massive news for the Brisbane Lions. Out of the Carlton Blues, there's some massive news for them. So first of all, George Hewitt will miss another week. He's expected to be back next week, but with finals hopefully appearing for the Carlton Blues, George Hewitt is tipped to miss another week this week. But in some sad news, Nick Newman is going to miss the remainder of the home and away season with a knee injury. So that means Sam Doherty and Adam Sard will have to shoulder a lot of the work coming out of the back line for the Carlton Blues. But super sad for Nick Newman. He was enjoying a good year, but he'll be back next year, bigger and better than ever. For the Bombers, Darcy Parish is expected to be back to bolster the Bombers midfield this week. And we know how good Zach Merritt's been these last few weeks. He's arguably been the most informed player in AFL fantasy right now. And Darcy Parish is only going to be good news for the Bombers midfield. So excited to see how those two work their magic this week in round 21. For the Cats, Zach Tui and Sam Menegola both look likely to return. Not that they need any more help, but those are some big names that are going to help them no matter what. For GWS, Stephen Cornelio, he's expected to slot straight back into the GWS midfield after being a late out last week with soreness. He's expected to be straight back in, and I'm sure he'll kill it as he has been. A quadrant coming out of Port Adelaide. Travis Boak, Dan Houston, Riley Bonner, and Darcy Byrne-Jones all expected to be selected this week. Travis Boak's got a fractured hand, and he's going to be playing through that. And I mean, at early 30s, that is a massive. I don't know. I really don't know. That is a massive ask.
Man. What a machine.
He's so good. And absolute club legend. Arguably an AFL legend, Travis Boak. Good work. Adam Treloar is 50-50 again this week. And many expected him to play last week. So he's struggling with this complaint. And I'm not sure if he's going to get up for it this week. They'll probably be very cautious with him. But Adam Treloar, again, is very 50-50 again this week. So definitely keep your ear to the ground for that one, as he is one of the better forward options in GDS this year. And that'll do it for the injury news this week.
Well, what I got from that is, ladies and gentlemen, check your fantasy lineups. If you have any of these players who are questionable or coming back in, it is now time to make some money moves. Speaking of Adam Treloar, I don't like this 50-50 call, and I think you're going to find out a little bit more later on in the show. But what we do after Kerm's weekly news is we get into Pack of the Week.
Yes, sir.
And the proclaimed pack god by myself, Dacos, exclamation mark, is back, and he's back with a bang. Like, I just can't fathom the fact that I open my weekly rewards and, you know, all these packs, and I don't know what this guy's on, but he's built different. Every single week, he nearly submits a fire pack, which is in contention to winning this. And just credit to him and the Potato Bake. They're my guys, always submitting packs every week. But Potato Bake, day cost exclamation, edged you out this week. But look at this pack.
Dude.
This is in a common 3-player pack, just by the way. 2 silvers and a gold. Sam Walsh, Lockie Neal.
As you do. Just 2 of the best midfielders in AFL Fantasy.
And Bradley Hill. We can't talk down on Bradley Hill as well. But those 2 on the left there in the middle, like, just wow. Congratulations on winning another Pack of the Week selection. So we'll be sending you a 3x3 common player pack. And if you want to get involved with this segment, it is literally free. You don't have to do anything. You can send me your free bronze packs. Show me who you got, and if you're the Pack of the Week winner, you'll be getting a 3x3 common. And remember to submit your packs through our Discord. The link is in the description down below. It is free to join, so why not? Or alternatively, send it to any of our socials. All of those links are down below as well for you. But let's get into our question of the round. The question that's pondering on our minds for the round of 21. Kerm, why don't you take it away this week? What question have you got?
I will, and it's my guy Kitty Coleman out of the Brisbane Lions, and I absolutely adore this guy. I think he's going to be one of the best fantasy assets for a long, long time, and we've got him listed down as a forward for this year because there was a little bit of confusion about where he was going to be playing going into the 2022 season, but you might find him as a defender in 2023 without giving too much away there, but he was on track for one of the best games of the year last week before he went down with what seemed to be almost like a cramp for him, and he was in and out of the game for the second half, and it might come down to match fitness. He's been in and out of the squad with health and safety protocols, injury, what have you not. He's had the whole 9 yards this year, but if he can improve his match fitness for the back end of the year, he might be one of the best fantasy players you can have in the forward line. We know the forward line is a problem area for a lot of players. If you have a Kadeem Coleman in your forward line stashed away without even knowing it, I wouldn't blame you because he is someone who, up until this point a couple of weeks ago, has flown under the radar. But off the halfback flank, I mean, he was at, I think, 97 GDS fantasy points that half time. And when he went down with that cramp early on in the second half, he finished on, I think the game he finished on 115 GDS fantasy points. So he could have gone a long, long way with a little bit of extra match fitness. It's interesting and exciting to see what he'll be able to do with that fitness.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just can't agree with you more. If you're getting 97 GameDay Squad fantasy points in a half, I would love to see what you could do in a game without any of those niggles and injuries. So that is quite a shame. But my question of the round, I'm looking at an ex-Suns player. It's Tommy J. Lynch. And, you know, he loves to be hot and cold throughout the season. He'll have games where he'll prove that he is one of the best forwards in the comp, and then he'll go absolutely missing. Missing persons report needs to be put out for Tom Lynch the next week. But last week wasn't one of those weeks. He was clutch, and in a huge game for the Richmond Tigers against the Brisbane Lions, who, you know, they were down. They weren't looking too good in that game. Tommy J. Lynch heroics in the second half brought them back into it and eventually won them the game. So I guess my question of this round is, can he back it up with another good performance? Because I am an owner of a silver Tom Lynch, and I still don't have confidence, even after last week, putting him into my lineup, but I want him to prove me wrong. Give me some confidence, Lynchy, and you'll be back in my forward pack, mate. So that is my question of this round.
It'll be a tough week for him because they have Port Adelaide, and he'll either have Alir or Tom Jonas. One of them will go to Revolt, one of them will go to Lynch. So it'll be a tough week for him either way, but you're right, he does need to get that consistency going because when he's hot, and when he's not, he's so not.
Yeah, his floor and ceiling is just so extended either way. Like, it's just ridiculous. But Kerm, I want to hear your team announcement. Who is going to be in your lineup this week for GameDay Squad? You know, we've got the weekly competition and the seasonal, which is still running. We only have a couple of weeks left, so now is not the time to bust out. Now's the time to make some money moves. So tell me who you're rolling with.
Yeah, after a good week last week, I'm going to keep it pretty much the same. I want to see how Kadeem Coleman backs up this week in training, see if there's any news surrounding him. If not, one of Tim Taranto or Mitch Duncan will be slotting into his position there. But the big change here is Angus Brayshaw. I was really, really intrigued by his game role last week, playing in the midfield. I think he had 55% CBAs, and to me that is super, super interesting. And I had an Angus Brayshaw just stashed away in the midfield there. So I've put him in for Marcus Bontempelli, who's been struggling with some issues himself. So Angus Brayshaw, at this point in time, will be starting in my midfield. And the only other change is Sam Walsh slots straight back in for Hugh McCluggage. Sam Walsh had a great game last week, 144 odd GDS points, and he was on my bench. I can't have that happening again, so Sammy Walsh comes back into my midfield.
And mate, what an absolute luxury to have those type of players and that caliber of player to pick from the midfield. Yep. I am truly, truly jealous. What a team. I have a good feeling that your team might do pretty good next week or this week. It's looking really, really good and well structured. But let's go over to mine. So Kerm is in the open league. He doesn't have to worry about this thing called the salary cap.
Thanks, mate.
He can play as many players as he likes. I am quite the opposite. I have to worry about my salary cap. But I've definitely made some moves this week.
Yep.
And I've downgraded, first of all, my Zach Merritt from his platinum into a gold. Thanks to my rewards packs. Placing in the top 10 for the weekly competition last week. And I've done this because I need to save some salary cap to accommodate for a player who's coming in. First of all, Zach Fisher is out, his silver graded card, and Adam Treloar gold is coming into my forward pack. Now, my forward pack is the weakest out of my whole entire team. I really like my backs and my midfields. My forwards, not so much. But with the news with him 50-50 Kerm, I'm going to have to be hot on the press, need to be looking whether he's named or not, and potentially replace him if he is ruled out for the game. My next move is Jack Graham Silver in the forwards is getting replaced by the other Jack from Richmond, Jack Revolt. He's been playing some good footy. I haven't been liking Jack Graham's form as of recent. And I want some Jack Revolt in the team. And the last one, Josh Rotham from the West Coast Eagles, a defender. His bronze card is coming out of the lineup. And Isaac Cummings Silver is coming back in. And there's a big thing. We spoke about the other week on the player radar about how Himmelberg was really impacting Isaac Cummings' game. But I don't know if you watched GWS's game last week, but Himmelberg was back in the forward line. And that meant more ball for Isaac Cumming, and I liked what I saw. So yes, I have some more faith in Isaac Cumming moving forward. We'll see how it goes. Maybe it'll come back to bite me. But that's the team that I'm rolling with this week, and I'm hoping we can get top 10 again.
Go the Cannons. I love that team, mate, just quietly. Mitch Duncan, Adam Treloar up forward. The likes of Jordan Dawson, Aaron Hall down back, and that midfield's a joke, you know that. So, yeah, go the Cannons.
The midfield is spicy. I have gotten lucky with my midfielders, with my rewards packs, but not so lucky in the forward line. I'm hoping some luck will come soon. Dacos, exclamation mark, rub a bit of your magic on me or something, or the potato bake, because I clearly need it. But let's get into our next part here. This is the hot seat. And what we do here is we're keeping players accountable in terms of fantasy performance in the AFL, and we're going to nominate a player each week to put on the hot seat to shine some light onto their current situation or their current play. Kerm, take it away this week, mate. Who are you not happy with and who you're throwing on that hot seat?
Yeah, this is a bit of a tough one because he really doesn't deserve to be on the hot seat here. To be honest, he's been really great for me. But Nick Floss-Stone off the halfback for the Richmond Tigers, he's scaring me a little bit, and it's not his fault. It's because Jaden Short has been moved back down to the halfback flank for the Tigers as well. Now, we know the back line for the Tigers is a little bit crowded. They've got Nathan Broad down there as well. They've got Daniel Rioli who can play a role down there. Off the halfback flank as well. But Nick Floss-Stone, to this point in the season, has been super, super consistent. I mean, in his last 3 games, last round he had 97, which is low for him. Round 19 he had 118, and round 18 he had 125 GDS fantasy points. So he's been a really good option for me, and a little bit of a player of difference because not many people are going to be starting him in the competition. But it's just that Jaden Short scares me a little bit, and it's not really so much of Nick Floss-Stone being on the hot seat. It's more just a precursor warning for maybe in a couple of weeks where we might find him there if his score drops. So just keep your eyes on Nick Floss-Stone and his role with Jaden Short back down there, because it might be hard for both of them to score, with both of them being such good fantasy assets.
And fair enough. And Kerm's pulled out his magic crystal ball. He's predicting the future here. And if there's anyone to listen to in terms of this guy's coming second in our open competition right now. So listen to Kerm.
You made me blush, mate.
This guy has proven he puts up big numbers every single week. He knows what he's doing. So, mate, that might be an area of concern for a couple of fantasy managers out there who've started him. But let me go over to my hot seat selection this week. And this is a player that we haven't mentioned in a show in, I think, months.
This is a great
His
one.
name is Jack Crisp, a defender for the Collingwood Magpies. Now, we know how good his dynasty value is. And at the start of the season, he was putting up some really, really good numbers. But as of recent, there has definitely been a fall-off in terms of performance. Now, I'm not sure if this is Collingwood just being a better team, winning more games, not having the ball go back there as much, or whether it's just him not playing as well. I'm not sure. But it's not time to panic. Don't stress. If you do have a Jack Crisp, it's not time to sell him, flog him off, get rid of him. He's still a great player. I really like his value moving forward, especially in terms of dynasty. But yeah, in the weekly competitions right now, I'm not sure if I could punch in a player like Jack Crisp into my defenders or my backline. I think I'll be looking elsewhere for some production because, yeah, he's just not putting up those same numbers at the start of the year. And it is a little bit disappointing. But Jack Crisp, prove me wrong. Go out there this week, have a monster game, and finish off the season right because you are a star in your own right, and I want to see you succeed.
This is such a good hot seat pick here because he's coming off the back of his second lowest score of the year in round 20. He only had 71 GDS fantasy points.
Exactly right.
Even before that, like Jack Crisp is a player who's a premium defender option going into the season, and he's so consistent. He still holds a record for most continuous games in the AFL right now, but his last 5 games, like 71 last week, 94 the week before, 106, 109, and 95. Even those hundreds, someone like Jack Crisp should be pushing that 120, 130 plus fantasy GDS points because he is that player. So he's 100% one of the best hot seat options to put down, especially in a defender role where there are so many defenders playing so well right now. There's a lot of options that people have. Tom Stewart's back, the likes of Nick Flostone. Jordan Dawson's playing his back role again. So yeah, I really like this pick. He's definitely someone who should be on everyone's hot seat.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said it right. The defenders just have been so good this year, and there's just an abundance to pick from right now. You can go from multiple different teams and pick top quality defenders. But you're right, he should be playing a bit more like Jack Sinclair. Jack Sinclair has really made the defender fantasy MVP race quite interesting. As I said a couple of weeks ago, I reckon he's going to take it out. I think he will be the number one defender, and Jack Crisp should be pushing that as well. He is just that quality of a player. There's no reason why he shouldn't be. But let's get into our final segment of the show. It is our lock of the round. And
yes,
Kerm,
baby.
I know you're going to be a bit excited for this segment this week, and just want to clarify again. Callum hasn't come to this show, and there has been suspicions that depending on results, he won't come. And, we didn't do a review show this week, so apologies for all the people who do watch our show and were banking on us uploading that. We just couldn't get it done, didn't have enough time, but hopefully we can make up for it with this show. But his team didn't finish in the top 10, and now his lock of the round didn't do too good this week. Let's flick over to the leaderboard. And as you can see, Kerm has taken his spot back on top with 10 out of 17 selections correct and 1,109 fantasy points that have been added to his totals. Kerm, how are you feeling? The top spot is back.
Top of the moon. This is where I should be. I feel comfortable. This is my home. Top of the pedestal. This is where I should be. So, no, Cal is up my clacker. Quite literally. He's very close. I need to have another good week here. I've gone not so much a risky pick, but we'll see. We'll see what happens when we get into our selections here.
I'll tell you what, the margin was only 15 fantasy points this week. It has definitely opened up from that at least. Callum has 9 out of 17 selections correct, as you can see, with 1,030 points. And let's not talk about that Tom guy. I don't know who he is. He doesn't pick too well. He's 7 out of 18, 820 fantasy points selected. But, Kerm, seeing as you're on top, we're going to start it off with you. What's your strategy this week? Who are you selecting? And for how many points?
Yeah, so last week I had Kadeem Coleman down for 115 points, and you know what? He went and got 115 GDS fantasy points. So it was
on
an absolute
the dot.
A clutch performance in the end. I was shaking in my boots coming towards the back end of the quarter there, but he did sneak over the line. He pretty much fell over the line. This week I'm going for who Cal chose last week. I'm picking Chad Warner. He's got the North Melbourne Kangaroos, so I'm hoping that he has a little bit of an easier time this week than he did last week. But I'm playing it relatively safe. I've got him down for 110 GDS points this week, and I hope he can crawl over the line for me.
You're doing this manoeuvre again. You did it with Doherty a couple of weeks ago and it paid off for you. And now you're using Chad Warner holding it up against him. I love it though. There's definitely going to be some head noise there if Callum misses again and then you hit it with his pick from the week prior. But let's get into second place. As you mentioned, Callum picked Chad Warner last week for 105 GameDay Squad fantasy points. And Chad Warner had one of his worst games in quite a long time. Yeah. Although it wasn't terrible, just for his standards and how well he's been playing, it wasn't that great. He's been cracking the 100 GameDay Squad fantasy points mark nearly every single game for the past 6 rounds. Just couldn't get it done last week. This week, he's looking at Josh Dunkley. And he's locking him in for 110 GameDay Squad fantasy points. He's looking at the Western Bulldogs. He likes the matchup that they have, and he's backing in Dunkley to get it done for him. So both of you going for 110 GameDay Squad fantasy points. We'll see who it's going to pay off for. And we'll go to my one to finish it off. My lock of the week selection last week was Noah Anderson, who missed out by 11 fantasy points. He copped a nasty elbow throughout the game, which probably affected his performance.
That was disgusting. Yeah, that was bad. That's a really bad one. Jai Colley, I think, mid-season draft player.
Exactly.
Not a good look.
To only miss by 11 fantasy points, he just ponders the question, if he doesn't cop that elbow, I reckon he gets it. So that's just a shame for him. I'm hoping he's okay, though. And he's going to be back in form next week. I love what Noah Anderson's been doing, just quietly. You know that. I've been on the train for a little bit now.
Love him.
But I'm looking at Jack Sinclair. I spoke about how good I think he is as a defender and how I think he's going to be the best fantasy defender option at the end of this year. So I'm doubling down on my statement. I'm taking him for 110, GameDay Squad fantasy points in this one. I'm thinking he can get the job done. He's got a really big day against Geelong over the weekend. The Saints are going to be in for it. There'll be plenty of ball down back, and I'm hoping that he's going to be the beneficiary of that situation.
I love that pick.
Let's hope he loves it as well and puts up the score for me. But guys, that's going to wrap us up for another episode of the Footy GameDay Squad show. Thank you for checking in with us. And if you've made it this far in the video, please do us a favour. Leave a like on it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to be notified when our next uploads are coming out, because we're doing videos every single week to try to help you guys get game day ready. And Kerm, is there anything that you want to leave our viewers with this week?
Round 21, just get game day ready.
Absolutely. Guys, good luck in your weekly and the seasonal competition. We'll catch you next time. See ya.